Hi everybody. Let me clear my throat. I want to tell a story. My name is Michelle Renee. I'm a human connection coach and surrogate partner based out of Baltimore. But you find me in Philadelphia and San Diego every month. So if you want to work together, go look me up there. This is not a planned video by any means. You can see I'm completely au naturel today. But I have an interesting story and I want to share it. I don't know where this is going to go, but I just feel the need to document this because I feel like my work is really personal to me. Like everything I'm doing is like I work on myself so I can help my clients work on themselves. And back at the beginning of September, I lost my father. He passed away unexpectedly. We had a very complicated relationship. Without going into too much and digging up too much time, just know that we were at an arm's length relationship. I learned I couldn't trust him. I think I took it back to my 20s. I used to have a pretty close relationship with him and learned that everything I was telling him he was using to like pit me and my sisters against each other, and it broke my heart and I had to pull back from him. But as kids, we grew up in a turbulent household. He had a temper. My mother didn't know how to deal with him. It's not like she engaged with him, but he just had a temper, and we were raised around that. At some point they quit fighting, which was almost scarier as a kid. But I do remember being very scared by him many times growing up. Not that he did it on purpose, right? But he was a scary guy. I don't know words for it other than that. I don't want to dive into all of this. That's not the point of my story. So anyways, he passed away early September. And I did a lot of, well, I didn't do a lot. I did some work around that. A couple things that I was very concerned about was abandoning my sisters in the funeral process because I was not participating. And so I cleared that, with them. And another thing that I did was I did a lot of raging. So I've taken up a practice of raging into a pillow for 3 minutes. Supposed to do it 3 times a week for 3 months. I'm not that consistent at it, but I've done it a few times. So after I watched his virtual funeral, thank you, one benefit of COVID, I didn't have to actually attend it. I did my 3 minutes of raging, and it was the second time I had done this exercise. And at the end of the exercise, which I really thank Janet Trevino for guiding me through this. She said it's really important to make a decision at the end of your rage rather than just let all that energy out. Like hold it in and like make a decision with it. And every time I came back to the decision was I was not taking shit from men anymore. And that included the raging after my father's funeral. So I say that this work is personal. I grew up in emotional abuse. I was in a marriage with emotional abuse, and I say like I'm doing generational work. It's not just for me. It's for all the women that came before me and my family, like all sorts of stuff around that. So I raged. I'm not taking shit from men anymore. And what did the universe do? It gave me a chance to put my what do they say? Put your words where you're, I don't know. Anyways, I got to put it into action. Proof is in the pudding. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. A couple weeks ago, I was at the gym on a Sunday morning. And long story short, I'd love to tell you the long story. We don't have time. I got in the face of an old white man who was, I'm going to say, trying to hijack our pool. He got in right before our class started. The pool was clearly closed. He knew this because he has done this in this class 2 other times. And I just hadn't been there when it happened before. So when I saw it happening, I physically put myself in front of him and demanded that he get out of the pool. And yes, I cussed him out. Now, I was okay with it. I don't know about the rest of the people in the pool. I don't care. But he was quite shocked by it. And it's really funny because what I've heard about him is that he cusses out the instructor. So I didn't feel bad about cussing him out. And he wouldn't leave. So I ended up chanting at the top of my lungs, leave, 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 over and over again. And then I just told him to get the fuck out of the pool, top of my voice, maybe a couple of times. And he did eventually get out of the pool, and the manager was waiting for him, and blah, 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 blah. The next week, I didn't go to class. And I didn't go to class. It was a last-minute decision. I got up that morning. I was all scheduled to go to class, and I woke up that morning, and I got hit with panic that he would come in and, like, shoot up the pool because I had damaged his ego, right? I had the audacity to come after him. So I canceled my registration for that class. It's just a class. I've gotten really good at listening to my gut, and that's what I did to keep myself safe. Sent a message to a couple of friends that take that class just to let them know that I wasn't going because I had anxiety. Their response was like, don't let this man, take away your class. But it's just a class, and I need to listen to my gut. And I spent a lot of time rebuilding that gut instinct, and I needed to follow it. And let's face it, white men have a problem in this country, so it wasn't far-fetched, right? I've since returned to the pool. Had no problems any other days of the week. It was just the Sunday class weirded me out. And I found myself in a meeting with some of my colleagues last week, a week ago today, really activated around that. And I reached out to a colleague that does Brainspotting, and we had a session today. And I want to say that it was really, really cool. I'm kind of a little lost for words. I just finished the session. I probably look like I've been crying because I have. But we can take this all back to my dad, right? Those early memories of being afraid came up for me today, and it was so good to work through those and just let them go. Reprocess them as an adult. She asked me a question about what does his face look like, the guy in the pool. And I said, it's interesting. Now that I think about it, his face was just kind of this surprise, like audacity. And it made me less afraid, which it really shouldn't on its own, right? But I got this like inner sadisty kind of thing came out of like, oh, maybe he's actually afraid of me. Isn't that funny? Yeah. And I also got what felt like this confirmation from previous generations of women in my family that I did a lot of things that they couldn't do, right? Like it felt like my grandma telling me like it was like I told off my grandfather, which is just a funny thing because I never had a reason to really tell off my grandfather, but maybe I'm sure she did, right? I felt like there was like Rocky music behind me, and I shared that in that moment, after the pool, I had this thought of like, I wish I had this on video as like an advertisement for what I do in my work, right? Like I do lots of different work, but one thing that is consistent across all of my work is that I am there to teach people how to honor their own boundaries and how to figure out what their boundaries are. And it just felt like this was the culmination of all these things that I've done for myself. And I teach in my work, and here it all just showed up in the pool that day. And it was just really freaking cool. It felt like I wore this cloak of, if you had a cloak and you could write all these words on it, one of the things it would say was, not good at confrontation or conflict avoidant. And those were words that my mom, I feel like were very much my mom. And I took some of that with me, right? And then it was like, it's almost like my father's death let me take that cloak and throw it away. We lost my mother 18 years ago. So like in that relationship was complicated too, right? But my father's was toxic, and it's incredibly freeing, or I've felt incredibly freed in his passing. And part of it was taking those labels that had been assigned to me either by myself or someone else, and just dumping them and walking away from it. And that the pool was really that moment that let me know that big shifts had happened. So just wanted to share that. This is a longer video than I want it to be, but it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October is. And I feel really called to talk about domestic violence, how it doesn't have to be physical. And so many times it's not physical. And like there's a recovery, right? And I'm thrilled that I get to work with some people around that recovery, and that I've gotten to take myself through that recovery. And it's probably a recovery that never ends, right? But I'm totally okay with that, and I love doing this work. So if ever I can support you, get a hold of me. I keep hitting I'm sorry if this is shaking, I keep hitting my top of my water bottle, which is sitting on the desk, making everything move. But yeah, I feel really good. I thought at the end of this Brainspotting session that I would be a mess for the rest of the day, and look at me, I'm not. I feel great, and that's probably the way Brainspotting should go, actually. So with that, you can find me at humanconnectioncoach.com. I'm also on most social media at Meet Michelle Renee, and I look forward to maybe seeing you in my inbox. Bye.